in the west side of Lincoln Lodge parking lot. This is Lower County Road that runs east and west. Allen's Harbor is to my left, Harwich Port to my right. There's parking on the right-hand side of in the grassy area as well as in the pavement side. Rear door that goes to the kitchen is on the right-hand side of the building behind that picket fence. Beyond the picket fence is the condominium called Windermere Condominium. It's a separate parcel of land. In this area, there's 2 car parkers stationed at night to control cars coming and going. A door ID man under that awning, and further to the right, 1 more car parker that controls that end. And another car parker that works between that end of the parking lot and also helps out under the awning and checking IDs. You can observe the light attached to the blind in the rear window. That was added Sunday night just for the purpose of lighting up that rear area where the rear door goes into the kitchen, so that would make it more obvious if anybody was trying to get through that area or around the back of the building. It's the only night that light was put up there was September the 6th, Sunday. This is where the end of the line was on Sunday night when the building had reached capacity. And it would go from here to the corner there, and that's where the line would end. Just the opposite side of that, on the other side, would be a shorter line where people that had cards that were issued would be allowed in first before this line would be. So the waiting period in this line, about from 9:30 on, would have been an hour's wait to get in. The others would be shorter as 1 person left, and if you had a card, you could enter immediately as soon as it was allowed by count inside. The ID checker would be standing right here so that nobody could get by him inside without first checking the ID. There would normally be 2 people here doing that. One was slow. The other fellow may walk out in this area checking that part of the parking lot as well as to the rear of the building. I would be stationed just inside of that door, observing what the activity was out here as well as inside of the building. The line begins at this yellow mark on the sidewalk. Towards me, there's nobody but 1 person who's checking IDs, and then just to the behind him, a fellow who collects the door charges. So there's nobody in this area but the 2 fellows, 1 an ID checker, 1 collecting the fees to get in. And beyond that is the door that I'm stationed behind, observing the activities out here as well as inside the building. This is the front door that's always closed unless somebody is entering or leaving. The night of September the 6th, this is where I stand observing any activity outside through these glass panels as well as inside the building. Occasionally I stand here and I look out. The night we're talking about, I looked out and saw 2 police cruisers parked on the side with no lights on. Curiosity overcame me, so I went outside and asked my ID checker, who was stationed out here, as to what was the cruiser's purpose being here. He, being busy checking IDs, looked up and for the first time observed them and said he didn't know. So I started to walk over to see what's going on. As I walk over, I observe two police cars, one parked right in this area and the other one behind them, with one of my car parkers' Jeeps in that area blocking the driveway to prevent people from driving up and back that don't belong there. It's easier to control the situation. Not seeing anybody in the cruiser, I look up, and just beyond the stone pillar I observe a foot patrolman standing with a radio on his side, and I ask him where they are, what's going on, and he repeats, I don't know. So with that, thinking there must be some trouble in the condominium in the back, start to walk up the driveway. As I get to about here, I can see nobody in the road at all, but I keep walking because I'm curious where they are. As I get to about here, I start to hear a noise to my right. It being dark and no lights lighting this whole area, it seems to be coming from to my right. As I walk closer, over the refrigerator that's standing there, and that plant I can see heads against that door, but I can't tell who it is. And it looks like 4 people, and there's not room for me to go there to see, so I go up the stairs, and I look down, I can see one person beating on the door heavily, yanking on it, pounding on it, and it looks, he might have a nightstick or something that he's hitting it with. I still don't realize that they're policemen. So I say, what's going on? And the person beating on the door replies without turning around, why is this door locked? What is this door doing locked? Why is it locked? What is the chain on there for? This door leads directly into the bar. There's no handle on it. This is a deadbolt with an eye on the other side. And a chain goes through and an eye bolt on the other side that prevents the door from opening. It'll wiggle this much, and that's as far as it will go. Up until 2 years ago, this door would open, and it was a fire exit at the time. And if you knocked heavily on it, somebody inside would unhook it and you could open it up. But 2 years ago, the fire exit was changed and the door was sealed with a lock. I have the only key to it, and nobody can open it but myself. This refrigerator was there on Sunday night, and this plant was there. The narrowness of this area is what prevented me from getting in to see what was going on. The stairs I was standing on when I looked down, the new fire exit door that's always locked and can only be opened from the inside with a crash bar. That night it was closed, as it is every night. I was informed of their purpose, and not being able to unlock that door myself because it's locked from the inside, not being able to open that door either, we then progressed back around the corner of the driveway towards the front of the building. As we walk along here, I'm being informed by then Sergeant Welch that he's here to arrest 2 bartenders for serving minors. As we walk along here, he repeats that statement frequently, and I keep saying, you've got to be kidding. As we reached about this point, I realized that one bartender was nothing but a service bartender. So we stopped, And at that moment, my other car parker, Al, walked up, and one of the undercover cops identified him as the one who was supposed to have taken the bribe. Al empties his pockets and said that it's ridiculous, he never took one. He has no $20 bills in his pocket. And immediately thereafter, one of the undercover cops says, "Oh, I mean the bartender behind the bar and a waiter, not two bartenders." So with that statement, I asked who was the waiter. Sergeant Wells said, "We'll go inside and he'll point him out." So now we walk around and we enter inside of the building, past the lines that are here. As we walk in, we stand about here. At that moment, the room was crowded, and in this area, they're all standing up. The tables were full, but there are a lot of standing people in this area because it's where they like to stand. As I walked in, I observed no waiters at that moment. The first waiter to come came from this direction. This is the direction that Glenn, the waiter, was coming. As he came up here, we were standing over there. And the people being crowded all around here as he came into view with his idea of going around this post into the waiter's station. He was identified as the waiter who served the drink. His immediate reaction was, he was told at that point he was under arrest. And in amazement, his first reaction was, to my knowledge, "Where were you sitting?" The person who identified him as the waiter who served him said, "I was sitting over there by the fireplace." Glenn's reaction was, "Well, it's impossible that I served you because my station is on the opposite end of the building." Having 4 waiters and waitresses on that night, 2 were stationed on this side and 2 on the opposite side. Glenn's station was over to the right. And this area is where he would have been coming, going up to the bar here to order his drinks from the bartender. The service bartender stands here and uses 2 blenders and pours the blended drinks into paper cups and puts them down here full. The bartender, if he wanted one, would take it away. If a waitress ordered a sleigh ride drink, then he would have taken and put the cup there for her to take away. That's his only purpose. He can't sell drinks because he can't reach the other side of the register. So the waitresses stand here, order drinks from the bartender, order the sleigh rides from him that he puts here. This is the inside of the door where the noise was coming from on the outside. This is the chain. These are the eye bolts to the door. It was impossible outside of that little movement for the door to open any further. This is where the people sit. The only place anybody can get served is in this area here. This usually being 1 deep behind the chairs. It's one little area there where they can ask for a drink if they're standing across the bar. Being very narrow here, they can only get 1 row behind them. Okay. This is the area the bartender works. And the only place that you can get a drink if you aren't seated would be on this side where it may be 2 or 3 deep. This section of the bar may be 3 deep. For anybody to order a drink here, he has to get the bartender's attention. This is where the service bartender works. This section of the room to the right is where Glenn's section was. The 2 tables there, the round one and the long one. The other person would have this section in here. The men and ladies' room is through that hall. This is where the seating. And you can observe to the right is where the fireplace seating is. Cigarette machine in the front door. That night, usually the open spaces were filled with people standing up. So it was hard to observe if you were standing on one side of the room. To have a clear view as you have now, too many people would prevent it. On that night, my hostess, who was off duty, the 2 friends were sitting right here all night long. And if you sit down, you can observe the front door and see anybody that comes in from either side. We're entering where the rear door, the only other door anybody could possibly get in would be through here. At that night, the lock is turned and it's impossible for anybody to get in from the outside. Somebody would have to open it from the inside in order for anybody to get in. This door is always closed from 8 o'clock on due to ventilation working better with the door closed. And after the cooking stops, which on that night was 8 o'clock, the door is pulled closed. So somebody that might have got in would have to walk this way. This is the only door that enters the bar from the kitchen, and that door is shut. Just beyond that door is where the bar back stands, which that night was my chef. His duty is to get ice from those machines for the bartender. As well as to make sure that if somehow those rear doors were unlocked and somebody came through, he would be right here to catch them from going any further.